There's quite an interesting comment here. So buyers are more willing to make offers, but not necessarily good ones. Kia ora everyone, Chris and Sam here, Bayleys Insights team. So we are talking New Zealand real estate today, and the big question that's kind of been on everyone's mind over the past month or so is OCR has now been reduced, but what does that actually mean for the property market? And so in this video, we've got two quite interesting polls, one that we conducted with the public, and then one that we conducted across a large pool of our own agents, just to see what's actually happening at the moment. But Sam, figured we'd kick it off, right? A little bit of market context.
Yeah.
So mate, if we take that OCR reduction, how's it sitting in that wider market, like other things that are going on?
Yeah, so I suppose a lot of people are kind of thinking now that that cut will kind of reduce interest rates and on paper increase demand for property, but at the moment quite a few other factors coming through, one being interest rates still remaining relatively high, and supply of homes listed for sale still at that pretty high level. So yeah, a lot of things going on in the market, especially since that correction of the past few years. Yeah,
so it's quite a complex environment, eh? And so I guess some people getting their little market demand curves out and going, oh sweet, it's going to be a boost in prices, but it's probably a little bit more complicated than that.
Yeah, so quite interesting to see the results of this poll of what people are actually experiencing and thinking.
Yeah, 100%. So first up, we've got a poll that we conducted across the public through social media, and so this was sort of getting their perceptions around what they think is happening. General question was, how do you think the property market's being impacted by the reduction in the OCR? But we've split it into two sets of questions. One is around activity levels and the other is around pricing. So Sam, what did we see? What are the themes?
Yeah, so on the activity side, the respondents are expecting that more people will be thinking about both buying and selling at the moment, but still concerned that vendors may delay selling, kind of related to timing the market and expecting a bigger recovery to come.
Yeah, and that would always be a concern at this point, right? People think the market's going to recover, so they're just going to delay listings. So I think that's a valid concern. Yeah. What about on pricing?
Yeah, so on the pricing side, most people think that it will be easier to reach agreement on price at this stage, but there's still some concern that vendors will demand higher prices. And interestingly, not many suggesting that buyers will be willing to pay more. And I think that's kind of related to the interest rates still sitting at a high level.
Yeah, and isn't that quite interesting? Because if you took your traditional demand curve, you go, sweet, demand is increasing.
Yeah, people are able to borrow more, should have a bigger budget to spend more, but I guess still sticky on the price when there's a lot of stock in the market.
Yeah, so that was really interesting, on that. So that's the public's perception around what's going on. So next up, we polled our Bayleys agents around New Zealand. And so, so far we've got about 400 responses on this.
Yeah, so a really good pool of agents to see what's going on.
Yeah, and this is right across New Zealand as well, so really helpful. So same question set. So Sam, what are our agents actually seeing right now on activity in the market?
Yeah, so many of them are agreeing that right now there is a higher level of inquiry from both buyers and sellers. I guess the difference is that a large portion of them are still reporting no noticeable change in activity. And they're less concerned about the impact of vendors delaying listings, so not actually seeing it, whereas the audience kind of was expecting that.
Yeah, and that was quite curious, right? Like a very big proportion of the public responses were going, delay listing. But actual activity doesn't seem to really be demonstrating that, eh?
Yeah.
So that's what our agents are seeing on activity, but then Sam, on pricing dynamics, what are our agents actually seeing on the ground at the moment?
Yeah, so most of our agents responded that they haven't seen a huge noticeable change in pricing dynamics at this stage, but there's a good portion of them that are finding it easier to reach agreement on price. There is a portion of vendors that are wanting higher prices, and kind of in contrast, there's less buyers willing to pay more. So I guess we might see a little bit of that price expectation gap widen. Yeah,
and that's quite tricky, right? Because that gap's been a big problem over the last 2 years, vendors basically wanting more than what buyers are willing to pay. And so if that, if everyone just moves up a little bit, or if it gets worse, that risks taking some of that activity out of the market.
Yeah,
so slightly concerning. And then if you looked at the comments behind the scenes, so agents are reporting a bit more confidence in the market. There's quite an interesting comment here. So buyers are more willing to make offers, but not necessarily good ones, which kind of funny. And then there was also some comments around maybe the change in market conditions over the past month could also just be a seasonal thing. So I think some of the agents are maybe just a little bit skeptical. Although generally when you talk to the agents on the ground, they're a lot more positive with the OCR reduction coming through, and it adds a nice bit of confidence. So yeah, and then Sam, if we were to sort of wrap all of this up, what's our kind of conclusion or outlook over the next couple of months?
Yeah, so I definitely think that that confidence will kind of drive the activity a little bit at least, but doesn't seem to be translating to huge major changes in prices at this stage.
Yep.
So yeah, exciting to see more activity flow through, but yeah, will be a bit of time before we see big changes in price.
And that's kind of interesting, like if you're thinking about buying or selling at the moment, you probably shouldn't bank on there being a big change in price dynamics in the short term. So if you're maybe looking to store your decision for that reason, maybe have a chat to your local agents and just see what they think is actually happening on the ground. Like, is it worth delaying, or are you better to take advantage of the increase in activity? Particularly if you're selling and then buying, because if the market's flat, that's quite a nice stable environment to do that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, cool. And then, mate, to wrap up, property of the week, right? It's always good to see what's for sale. So, mate, what have you got this week?
Yes, I've got a property in Tauranga. It's 120 Jess Road on Te Puna Point Peninsula, a waterfront estate on 3.64 hectares. So it's got a main home that's got 4 bedrooms and a separate 2-bedroom cottage. Amazing property with stunning water views, kind of feels like your own resort vibe.
Real cool.
Yeah, awesome. And it's also featured 120 avocado trees, which I thought was quite exciting. Yeah, so if you're interested in this property, you can get in touch with Phil or Robin Mangos from Bayleys, Tauranga.
Yeah, it's real cool. Nice little waterfront one there. I've also gone waterfront, so I've got 34 Rawene Avenue in Westmere. So architectural waterfront masterpiece, 5 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms on 1,200 square metres. It's one of a handful of waterfront properties in Westmere, crowned Home of the Year in 2007, so it's like really, really good. Overall stunning, and if you want to learn more about this one, contact Vicky Wallace, Sam Wallace or Andrew Wallace from Bayleys in Remuera.
Awesome.
Yeah, sweet. So with that said, we'll wrap it up here. So big thanks to everyone who responded to our polls. We really appreciate your support. Thanks, Sam.
Yeah, thanks, Chris.
Cool, and yeah, we'll see you next time. Ciao.
See ya.